Hello, all you Astroflower readers out there. We're going to be doing, this is your Sunday special. We're going to be looking at two particular things, the heart chakra and the sacrum as well. We might go into the third eye and the throat chakra. That's the other zone I would like to have a look at, just see what it's sort of how it plays out. Just to give you a background information on this, for those of you who are new to this, about sort of pole shift energy. The Earth is going through a pole shift. It takes a long time to go through a pole shift. It sometimes can take thousands of years to go through a pole shift. It can sometimes take a very, very short period of time. I will be doing a lot more on the pole shift energy and how it affects humans and our chakras and stuff like that on our sister channel, Somatic TV. You may want to get over there and have a look at that and see what we do on there. But just going through the readings I'm doing here on the Astroflower, and noticed, and I'm calling it Magical March anyway, and we talked about this in February about how the solar plexus was breaking like an egg, sort of opening up to the heart chakra, and it seems to be like I was saying they were fusing. Now they've gone through that, and this is why I want to look at the sacrum, because I think the sacrum and the third eye throat chakra are doing the same thing. They're sort of fusing in a way, or they're getting a lot more in sync. The heart chakra is definitely changing, and I've seen this on quite a few sites, and this is why I wanted to do this reading today. And it's going to be about a collective reading. So it's our collective future, basically, our collective energy, how it is affecting us on an individual basis, but how it's affecting us collectively, and the consciousness that we're gradually going into within this new paradigm, which I talked about being a new type of logic in a way in Magical March. Well, all of a sudden things will become pretty evident and pretty logical, and other things will become so illogical that we're just kind of going, we're not even going to pay attention to this. This is illogical sort of thing. And within that logic, I think the heart plays a very important role. It's basically how we feel about things, how we project our heart's desires into the world. Once we start doing that and we get a focal position within the heart chakra, it becomes blatantly clear and obvious what we should be doing. So there's no longer any real choices in the matter. It becomes a logical progression. And the heart chakra seems to be sort of accumulating into one direction, as it were. It's a bit like, I've been describing it a bit like the landmark on Google. So it's like a teardrop. It's got a point on one side and it's got a circle at the top, sort of thing, you know. And it seems to be that point seems to be coming out the front of the person, as it were. I have observed this also in my healings as well. With the healings I've been doing, I've got my own ideas of what's happening, and I will go into them at some point. But obviously, I'd like to go into the collective reading, and we're going to be pulling some tarot cards on all of this as well, on the heart chakra, and just seeing if there seems to be some sort of direction that we can all adhere to in a way. So we're not doing the same things, but it's basically kind of like getting to a stage where we realize we shouldn't cause harm to one another. If that's just taken as a general rule, whatever you do is whatever you do. Just don't hurt anyone or harm anyone. And I think this is going to become the logic going forward, like common law in a way. But it's the heart's desires which is really important. It almost as if things seem to be going click and everybody seems to be moving in the same sort of rhythm going forward, basically. So we're going to sort of see what's going up there. Okay, let's just bring in our Chakra Man and just see what's going on with him. So here he is. Lovely. Okay, let's just get into the Chakra Man. So what we're looking for is archetypal sort of chakras. We're going straight into the heart. Might as well, don't mess around. There is a lot of stuff that's been going on with the root as well and the crown, but I think that's coming up down the road. But let's just see what's going on with this heart. It's most definitely dovetailing. It's almost as if it's becoming so dovetailed that the individual petals are being lost to the overall. Does that sort of sound? So rather than all the petals, say like on a solar plexus, rather than the petals being individual petals like this, I'll show you like this, being individual, like you're looking straight down the solar plexus, right? The solar plexus or something, and it's as if like the solar plexus is almost like it, or the heart, it's like the solar plexus is like that. So there's no more petals, and it's just literally like a cone in a way. That's the best way to describe it. So this is what's happening in the heart. Now, let's just go into that heart and let's just see if we can pick up any sort of guidance and direction. Okay, there seems to be a movement of mass. And then when I mean mass, I mean humans, and it's not actually giving me a place, because I'm not sure it's going to be about a place or a thing or a gathering. What it seems to be here, the images that I'm getting, is more of a case of people walking across a land, and they're just converging into the same place. I don't know if you've seen that film from the 1970s, which is you're probably screaming it down there. It's where the Close Encounters. So they start making the same thing, that sort of volcano-ish sort of shape thing, and they all seem to be drawn to that. This is a very similar sort of situation. It seems like the people are drawn to this place. And it's not actually a place within the physical geological space. It seems to be that everyone seems to be drawn to an idea or a way of living. As they're drawn to this place, they get to like a cliff, or like a cliff on the seafront. Let's just see if they go anywhere from there. And this, what seems to be, the heart seems to be directing everybody this way, as it were. What happens after that? So there they come to the thing. Wow. Okay. It's almost as if everybody's being drawn to it. It's not like, okay, these are the, it's like in the film Close Encounters, where there's some people who are being they're like contacts for aliens, and that's why they're being drawn to it. And that's the film. This is a situation where it's almost as if like the cliff front is a situation, and his situation, as they're drawn to the situation, there's some people that's I can only describe of taking off and flying away, and others who quite happily just fall off the edge of the cliff. You know, there's nothing untoward. There's no violence involved or anything like that. There's no pushing or shoving or complaining or demonstrating or anything like that. Nothing of that sort of kind. I think it has to do with the consciousness more than anything else. But it seems to be moving in that direction. Let's just see if we can take out an individual within this scenario to sort of see what's playing through in order to get to that situation. Okay, so if I was to stop one person that's coming there now and sort of saying, why are you going here? Where are you going? It's very strange. They're sort of saying, there, can you see it? There, we're going there. That's what we got to follow. We're going there. And as they're following it, they're almost sort of, the person sort of kind of like, as if they're sort of kind of saying, I haven't got time to talk to you, I'm going there. And it's like, I'm almost being annoying to them to stop them. And they're getting a bit anxious because I'm trying to stop them. So I'm not going to try and stop them. I understand where they're going. They seem to be going to a, let's say, towards the sun, towards a light and that sort of thing. It's very stereotypical. And when I ask, you know, for what reason are you going? It seems to be a case of because. And this is a very righteous standpoint. When you get righteous people, it's almost like they don't have to justify themselves, you know. And we see this in sacred texts all over the place. For example, I think it's in the Quran, and I think they're called I've forgotten what the name of the character's called. I'm sure Ganesh will be able to tell me this. But Moses followed him to learn, or followed that character to learn. And the character said, don't ever ask me why I do anything. And they crossed the Red Sea. It's something like Joey or something like that. Anyway, they crossed the Red Sea, and with this fisherman who kindly took them across the sea in order to get to the other side. And when they got to the other side, this Joey, or whatever his name is, or the character's name, smashed a hole in the bottom of the boat. Moses couldn't understand, and Joey said, well, look, if you ask me why, you know, you can't follow me anymore. You can't come on this path with me. And Moses said, oh, okay, no worries. I don't understand. I've got to know why. I will, I'll hang up my coat here and ask you why. And the character turns around and says, well, because tomorrow the fisherman is supposed to take the boat back out and go fishing, and there's going to be a massive storm and he will lose his life. So I have put a small hole in the bottom of his boat so he doesn't go anywhere. So then he has to spend the day repairing his boat, so then he and his family are safe. In the story, it gets a little bit more extreme as it goes on, but it's almost as if like that's a righteous person. And that can be incredibly dangerous, obviously, if their righteousness is based upon mind manipulation, as it were. And we get that all the time. And that's probably what the people falling off the cliff are about. It seems to be a case here that the mindless people going off the cliff, they're almost as if they're looking at their phones going off the cliff. You've seen that sort of cartoon where they drop down that sewage manhole, because they're going on their phone and they just go dung, dung, dung. Everybody's just falling down a manhole. That's what it seems like, that sort of thing. And the other people who are looking up, they're looking up and they're going towards it. And as they head towards the light, they're heading towards the light, and then all of a sudden they find themselves no longer on the cliff front. They're off the edge of the cliff and they're flying through the air. That's what it seems to be like. On an individual basis, from that sort of thing, let's just see where they came from, because this may give us an idea of how we can sort of adapt to this situation. Okay, I've got those people coming back now. Right, okay. It's like they're showing in the background, like it's like a city, but like, if you like, it's a city that you can see the building up of buildings, and it goes like, it almost looks like a tower in the background. And it could be, you could have like it to the Tower of Babel sort of scenario. And it could be that tower moment that's come up in a lot of the readings. And I know other readers have seen it as well, and of talking about there being a tower moment within the collective, or outside the people that they're reading for, that seems to be affecting them from the outside. I think these tower moments are going to be continuous, as other readers have said as well. I think it's going to be like a water drip sort of like torture sort of thing, and you know, I forgot what they call it, and it's gonna either the logic is going to be where either you get it or you don't. So I think it's a case of following your feelings from your heart. I think this is what it's all about, and I think that's what following that light is all about. Let's just see if we can get some cards on this, okay? On the that heart chakra, and see what's going on there. So we've got the Queen of Pentacles. Total assurance, according to the Tree of Knowledge, because she sat at the base of the Tree of Knowledge, and she has this one pentacle. My cards have gone all over the place. Wasn't paying attention. I had my mind on other things. Way too many to even read. Excuse me for 2 seconds. Quite hard to pick up off the floor. It's almost like I'm doing it live. So, there's loads in here. Oh, quite nice actually. There's a few other things. That's one thing that kept coming out. That came out individually. That was a 5 of Cups. That's been coming out for a lot. But apart from it, it's been very nice actually. A lot of good stuff in that. So yeah, let's get back to the heart. I think this assurance comes from understanding in the Tree of Knowledge, and the Tree of Knowledge is it's the accumulation of understanding of the human race through logic. So a tree is incredibly logical. It's not ever going to be confused about, is it a tree or is it a squirrel? It doesn't get confused like that. And that's the strength of the Queen of Cups. She doesn't get confused about things. She knows what the score is. And she's got that. I love the Queen of Cups because she's got this most beautiful wry smile on her face, as if to sort of say, I know what I'm doing. Do you? And she's just going forward to it. And that's that righteousness that we're talking about here. Let's just see what's coming up. Okay, so I did say there was a bit of healing session going on there. And I think it's comforting to people that they've got a direction. I think this could be the main driver as well behind the righteousness about it. And that 4 of Swords is that comfort of, you know, feeling like you know where you're going. There's a 7 of Swords as well. The 9 of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups and the Tower came out of it as well. So just sort of put things in context. Don't like to just sort of so I think this is going to give a lot of people a lot of healing, a sense of walking away from painful things. And if you look at this is what just sort of fell out, and this is what they're walking away from, why they're walking towards it, because life might have been painful. And this is not talking about relationships here. This is talking about painful in just living life as a human at the moment. And the good thing about the 4 of Swords is that they're actually healing that heart. They're bringing that heart back home, basically. And that's what it feels like there. I think this is what the healing aspect of that chakra is doing. And it's creating a lot of feeling of people knowing their place of where they should be. And it's sometimes difficult to follow that. Really is quite difficult to follow that, you know, because you just, you know, it may not be what you're used to. And we got the 4 of Cups as well, and that's what I mean about sort of, I need to pull another card on that, by the way. That's what you're walking away from. That's what it seems to be you're walking away from. Let me just put them back there in the middle. That's what you're walking away from. It's that whole, not necessarily disappointment. It's almost as if like, look, we were ready. We were waiting for it all to happen. We've been promised so much by so many people for so long, and none of it has really turned up. And all of a sudden, this one little cup turns up and says, do you know what? There's something else available out there. You know, there's something different. Let me just see where it's going, how it combines it into the future, and see what the actual sort of future's bringing out of this. It's going to breed a lot of ideas that come out, you know, it comes out of left field. So it comes out of like kind of going, didn't see that happening, didn't see that arriving. And it's going to spark ideas that are going to take shape and take form. It's going to make things happen for people. You may feel that, so there's one side that's coming out of it like that seems to be the one that's flying. This one seems to be the one that's sort of just jumping off the cliff, as it were. And because this is for the whole collective, don't forget, because you know there's going to be some people that's just not going to get it, and don't concentrate on them because it will stop you from going where you're going. It's a bit like me stopping them as well. Those are the people who don't get it. You know, the people walking towards the light are just kind of saying, I don't need to ask questions about it. Why? I'm just heading towards it. And, you know, if people are stopping saying, where are you going? What are you doing? And kind of going, I can't tell you, because if you can't see it, you don't know. That's what it seems to be. You know, and it's going to be walking away from headaches of the past, basically. That's what it looks like. As an observer, and this is what we're talking about here, as an observer, it can be quite painful to observe this. It can be quite painful to observe this in regards to others that are not getting it, that we love and cherish around us. And, you know, as I said, I don't think it's a case of trying to convince anybody. And I think the heart here is really trying to bring us into a point where you follow your heart's desires for how you think life should be exist, and that's going to start feeding through into the rest of the system. Yeah, let's just have a quick look at the sacrum and see what's going on there, because that had been swelling as if like the essential desires are coming to the surface. And when I talk about essential desires, now these are the desires like I need a roof over my head. It doesn't necessarily mean I want a swimming pool with it and I need it to be this color and everything like that. That's decided in the heart. That's where the heart's desires are. This is talking about practical desires, and it's like it's coming to a stage where the practical desires are now starting to come forward because we're dealing with a new way of living. And that's what seems to be coming out. So what are these practical desires? That's what it seems to be. There seems to be some sort of exchange or way of exchanging that's... It doesn't seem to be money that's exchanging. It's almost an exchange between two people. It's almost as like you're giving gifts to someone and they're giving you something. It's like someone's giving someone a jumper and the other person's giving them a pair of shoes. It seems very much like that sort of thing. It's almost as if like there's gifts of practicalities between two people. It started out with money, but then that money disappeared, and now we're into a stage here where it's gifts or gifts of practical stuff between one another. And I think this is maybe stemming ideas of finding solutions of how to create a society in a different way. I'm calling it the logical... excuse me. The logical... I haven't been drinking. I don't drink. Very, very, very rarely. Yeah. It's almost as if... I'm calling it the... I'm calling it the logical revolution. Or the revolution of logic. I think logical revolution. Should we call it that? Let's call it that. Logical revolution. That's what it appears to be happening here. And it's not desires on, I want more than you, or I want this, that, and the other. But it's because it's very harmonious between, it's filled, it's harmonious between the relationship side as much as it is on the material side. There doesn't seem to be an imbalance in it. I need to actually go in. I want to find something else about that as well. One love, one heart, let's get together and feel alright. Just like it was in the beginning. One love. That's what seems to be coming out of it. Yeah, and how to do it logically. And it's not about taking your shoes off, walking in the mud and living in a tent and just being a full-on hippie. But there is an aspect of that. But I think it's built upon the respect for the other person, who also knows, who has also worked it out, and therefore you don't have to question them in a way. You know, patience will give you healing. Look at that. Look at that. And then on the other side, you're saying goodbye to that, you know, painful endings, getting yourself unstuck, playing smart, saying goodbye to pain and sleepless nights and worries and sleepless nights. And it's going to be built around a pure vision going forward. That's what it seems to be like. Let's just pull a few cards on the Sacrum there, and just see exactly how this could play into us, basically, into as individuals, as in also the collective. So let's just play one for the. Yeah, this is it. It's being your own leader because it's in your sacrum. This is where the ego is found as well, within the person. And it's playing to your, look at that, 9 of Wands, King of Wands. They're almost the same. You know, this is what I was saying on somebody's, I've forgotten which sign it was I was reading on, but it's something to do with that. And it seems to be going in a direction that those barriers that need to be put into place is to stop us going backwards, basically. And won't get fooled again, sort of thing. That's the Who. Before was Bob Marley, just giving credit where credit's due. And how is it sort of coming together? And it's coming together through self. It's all to do with a passion. Look at it. It's nothing but fire down there. And that's what you're going to get in the Sacrum. It comes through the individual. Where's it leading to? Let's just see where it's going. 6 of Wands. Absolute success. I can only pull wands at this reading, this part of the reading. It's absolutely mad. You know, can we get anything more on that success? What is that success about? Okay, be patient, I think. Patient about it. Yeah, with the Queen of Swords. It's a definite direction that we're moving into. And that's the same thing. Look, she's got that heart under control there. Like the 4 of Swords as well. And remember that came out, Temperance came out with the 4 of Swords earlier on, just a moment ago. And so it's an unfolding thing. And this is what it seems to be heading for. So if you've got like logic that's playing through you, that you're kind of going, I've got to do this because it just seems logical, I would go ahead and do it. Follow your heart's desires. You know, stick to the basic rules of making sure no one gets hurt on the way through. If you stick with that, you're not going to go that far wrong, you know, and certainly not trying to impose upon the other person either, because everybody has their own truth, you know, not their own truth, because that's not true. There is only truth. It's not your own truth. So, you know, everybody has their path to lead, and that is, you know, righteous to them, and just respecting them for being on that path. And their righteous path may be to walk off the edge of the cliff and fall down the bottom. That could well be it. You know what I mean? And why would you deny them of it? That's the sort of scenario that we're talking about. So, there you go. As I say, I'm going to be doing a lot more on the energy effects of the pole shift that's coming through the humans or through the Earth as well, through the energy and through universe on Cymatic TV. It will be linked around my head at the end here. It's probably floating around about now. So you can go and see us over on that. We go into the sun's energy, how it affects the Earth, how it affects humans and everything like that. Very interesting. A lot of it is we're trying to discover about what's going on in the world. And we can do that all together. So there you go. Yeah, I will be doing your weeklies, of course. And, you know, if things really do start hotting up again, I may even do another reading for tomorrow night, the following night, and whatever. Just see where it all sort of goes. In the meantime, everybody, thank you very much for your support for this channel. It's been absolutely brilliant over the last year. You know, YouTube are really not helping us. They're really not helping us. They are hiding away because they're obviously not. They don't want to see the truth for what it is. It appears to be that way. I don't know. If they could contact me and tell me otherwise, I'd be quite happy to listen to it. But at the moment, they just don't seem to be giving us. We are getting less than 5% of impressions as we were a year ago. Less than 5%. And it is so obvious the change of attitude towards these sort of channels. It's not an algorithm. This is actually something that's been placed upon it. So you may well find us on Rumble in the future. We'll see. In the meantime, everybody, thank you very much for your support. Love you dearly. Yeah, don't forget, life should be fun, so please do enjoy.